Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Inner Conquest, the world's greatest modern metaphysics channel. I'm your host, Jacob Edens, and today we're going to be discussing about impressions. So in Neville Goddard's kind of weird verbiage, he has your senses impregnate you morning, noon, and night. So what does that mean, and how do we do something with that to improve the quality of our life? So what that means is that we have five senses in what you would call an external man or woman, right? So that is essentially your body, meaning that when you are alive, right? When you die, you leave your body, you're still you, but in this reality, you have an external body it's kind of like a vehicle that you use to get around, right? Now that body has sensory perceptions, which means that it has tactical feedback on any environment that you go into, meaning that your environment is sensible in the same way that if you've ever seen a haptic vest on the movie like Ready Player One, where when they feel pain in the video game, it shoots into the vest and vibrates, and they're like, if they feel pain in their experience, even though they're in a reality, right? So that's what you would call your external reality. You could call that your third dimensional reality. You could call that whatever. You have an inner man, which is, to use Neville Goddard's phrasing, which is your inner being, your inner self, your real self, right? So if you're watching Out of Body Experience, or not watch it, but talk or see somebody who has a near death or something of that nature, they're always physical, looking at themselves, and they're still themselves, and they're physical, and it's just interesting because there's a clear delineation between what their body is and who they are, right? You're in your body. So worst case scenario, once again, to reorient back to my dissolution of fear video, your body is not you, right? You're in your body, but you have a body, but it's a soul body that inhabits what you could call a physical body, but that's not even the right language, because your soul is physical when it's in its soul body, and your body is physical in this reality. It's just like a vehicle that interfaces with this specific realm, okay? So when you have your senses impregnating you morning, noon, and night via Neville Goddard's very weird literature, you could just use the word impression. Why don't you use that word, Neville? Would have been easier. When you have your five senses impressing you all the time, what else gets impressed? Well, if you study the subconscious mind, when you have an impression, think about the language structure here, the syntax of that. I was impressed, pressed upon, changed by the force of something external to me. Something impressed itself like a branding, and now I carry that impression. People get traumatized from events because they get an impression of a negative emotion that buries itself deep in them, and they're bent out of shape in the long term because of that impression, right? So when you allow your five senses to impress you, what that means is that your five senses are able to put you into states of creation that you have not chosen, right? So when you operate from an internal standpoint as opposed to a completely reactive external standpoint, what you're doing is you're officially putting up guard walls that allow you to deny what is being impressed upon you if it's not in alignment with whatever your ideal is. Good example would be if you go to the doctor and your ideal is to be perfectly healthy, and he goes, hey, guess what? You're sick and you'll never get better, right? He is impressing you through what you heard from him that this is who you are. He's telling you who you are, and he's not doing it to be mean to you or to control you, just based off of his worldview and his belief systems. Based off of these check marks, this is what he sees in other people, and he categorizes you in the same way as he's categorizes others because of his personalized experience, right? Now, where most people falter is they don't have a defense mechanism to guard against those things. So they just say that and they go, oh my God, I'm this person. And then they allow that thing to burrow itself into their identity, right? And remember, you have an inner man and an outer man. This goes for women too. So calm down. It's inner man, outer man. Outer man is a reflection of inner man. So when you want to create what you want, you always choose inner man over outer man. If outer man is telling you something that you don't want to hear, you don't allow yourself to be impressed, meaning that you don't allow your electromagnetic structure, your field, your frequency, your inner being, whatever you want to call it, to be conditioned by the external world trying to dictate you. Your consciousness is the dictator of reality. Reality is not the dictator of your consciousness, even though it can seem that way. But when people talk about taking your power back, what you're doing is you're taking your power back over unwanted impressions and saying, no, that's not me. I'm not sick. I am health, right? And you may have 1,000 test results around you that edify that reality of unwellness. But who are you going to listen to? Are you going to be the creator of your reality? Or are you going to be a small mouse in a maze that just hits walls and has to go through the maze, never looking up and going, oh, I'm in a maze. I don't have to be in a maze at all, right? So when things try to impress you, they try to impress upon you, they try to condition you, your ideal, your I amness is what supersedes that in all circumstances. Now, that being said, when you have given attention to something for a while that's not very favorable, and you choose a new I amness or a new ideal or a new pattern of thought that is in alignment with you having or being who you want to be, and the external world just continually shows you slop and continually tries to bring you down, that is the story of the crucifixion, right? Because every character in the Bible represents a metaphysical state. Whether they existed or not is not what I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is the mysticism behind those stories, because they allow us to understand the patterns in which reality folds so that we can manipulate them in our favor, right? So remember, Christ is linked to human imagination, your wonderful human imagination that is the creator of reality. So this doubles back into the Old Testament in the story of Esau, Jacob, and Isaac. So remember, Isaac is blind. That represents your father. That is the all-potential, all-knowing, all-awareness, but unconditioned, formless awareness, which has one faculty, which is to choose. Then you have Jacob, which is categorized as a smooth-skinned boy, and Esau, which is categorized as a hairy boy. Hairy boys versus smooth boys. A tale old as time, right? So what happens is Esau comes back bringing the meat, meaning that your 5 senses keep bringing you back data and sensory information telling you how the world is. The grass is green. Your beard feels like this. Your hair feels like this. Blah, 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 blah. All 5 senses, external man, data feedback, useful for navigating, but not the end-all, be-all of creation itself, right? So when you have a negative feedback from your external environment, or you have an unwanted emotion, or you have an unwanted thought, what you want to do is you want to go back into your I amness, which is your knowingness of all potential and possibility. Your I amness is just your unique soul signature identity. You know that you're you, and you get to make your own choices, okay? So when you have something that tries to impress upon you, like you have a knee pain, right? You can do one of two things. You can have that knee pain and go, oh, knee's getting old. Guess that's just how it goes. Boom. You just gave the birthright to Esau, which is the external reality, which you validated what you felt, heard, see, or had an experience with from a physical, 5-dimensional, 5-sensory standpoint. Okay? But what you want to understand is that you have an option. You don't have to accept that feedback for what it is. You always have a choice point to go with the Jacob consciousness. I'm biased, it's a great name, but the smooth-skinned boy represents your mental, imaginative capacity, right? Because creation is subtle to gross, meaning that subtle is that like water to ice, right? It's a subtle wave, right? And then it's a gross wave, which is like a spike, right? So you think of like your heartbeat, subtle, 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 spike. The gross is the spike. The gross is the furthest from the subtle. It's the more crystallized, dense 3rd dimension. Subtle is that 4th dimension, that more malleable, light, subtle energy, right? So you always have the ability to take a step back and choose a more leveraged position to place your awareness on. Oh, my knee hurts. boom, block. No, I am health. No, I am healed. No, I am someone with perfect joints. No, I am this individual who has this the way that he or she wants it to be, right? And so as you train yourself to not be impressed by the external world, it's also categorized as indifference, right? It's not able to get your goat or able to literally condition you to what it wants you to be versus you commanding who you are, right? So once you start to train that muscle, anytime you have anything unwanted, you have this guard that comes up and will not allow you to be impressed by unwanted things. It's a very important thing because without that guard, you walk through life, you get a bill, oh fuck, we're gonna have less. No, I make more money every day. My wealth increases tenfold. I am the god of wealth, right? You have that type of capability to command your space, command your environment, and to not be told who you are, because everything external to you is just a reflection of the state that you've been occupying. So until you can consciously occupy exclusively wanted states, you're going to have unwanted things pop up into your experience, and you will have contrast due to growth, right? If I want a business and then I have a business, now I want a successful business, right? Now I want a business with this much money. Now I want a business that feels this way. Now I don't want to spend time doing this. I want this automated, right? So there's expansionary contrast, but anything unwanted or debilitating that tries to program your identity or to latch onto you, you always have the choice to not accept that, right? Because what's the worst case scenario? You die? Yeah, you have to accept that death is a part of life, and all fear of death doesn't really make sense because you're still you when you die. So if you lose your body, that would suck, but you're still going to be okay. So you lose that fear. Now you have the ability to think clearly because the fear limits your bandwidth of being able to think. So once you have the operational capacity to think, you can outthink everything that comes your way, which gives you the ability to overcome everything that is sent your way. There is nothing you cannot overcome because you are able to think and you're able to focus. And you have the ability and the skill set of fourth dimensional thinking, which means that you're able, because of your current circumstance, you're able to formulate what it would be like to have that resolved, and then you're able to live in the wish fulfilled and persist until that becomes dominant, which means that nothing can overtake you. Nothing has the power to conquer you anymore. Literally zero things, because anything that comes up, you can always think as if it's already resolved now. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave any type of comments that you want for videos made in the future. The link tree has all the coaching for the Spartan 1 and all of that good stuff. And the most important thing I have to say today is go conquer. See you in the next one.